This is the 8-Bit Beast, and welcome to my tutorial for Sonic 1 Master System Speedrunning. Throughout this tutorial I'll be playing back a run that I made on emulator using TAS tools, and it's supposed to represent the perfect run that a human could do without using any TAS-only tricks. This will be for any percent, or beat the game as it's called on speedrun.com. There are some longer categories like max special bonus and all chaos emeralds, but they won't be covered here. However, the movement that you'll learn from this run can definitely be applied to any category of this game. So I'll be playing back this run on the emulator, and I'll have the inputs on the side, so hopefully you can see the inputs scroll along like this and you can see which buttons would be pressed. I've also got RAM watches on the left, so the main one we'll focus on is X velocity. So here you can see X velocity is 3 and the minor is 80, so think of this as 3.80, and this last one's in hex, so 300 is the normal walking speed, and you can see when you roll it's speeding up a little bit. So 374 is higher than 300, for example. One thing that I will mention just at the start before we go into individual levels is something called the speed cap. So there's various ways to exceed the walking speed of 300 in this game, but one very common way is rolling. But you'll notice when I jump out of the roll, here's the jump out of the roll, and you'll notice that I let go of right, and my speed stays at, well, high 7s. Now that's a method to keep rolling speed while jumping, but you'll notice that if I instead hold right throughout the jump, my speed will snap down to 3 and I won't even make the jump across this waterfall. But if I were to let go of right, I would easily make this jump across. So if you're walking or jumping and you press right, you'll hit the speed cap, and that on land is 300 and in water it's 100. I can give one more example of this. I just need to reload this and I can give one more example. Let's see. Okay. So in this level, Labyrinth 1, we come off the slide here, and you'll notice that I've let go and my velocity stays at 4, roughly 4. Okay, and we're going to hit the water, and you'll notice that it's staying at 3, and it's just decreasing gradually every frame. Now, if I were to press right when I hit the water, it would snap straight down to 1, and Sonic barely goes as far. You see he lands there, but if I weren't to press right, then he would go much further in the water. Let's see. Much further when he lands. So that's just one general thing to keep in mind, and that's about the speed cap. Okay, so we'll go and start from the first level. Now, I'll play through the level once, and then we'll discuss all the techniques in it. Okay, now let's go back and look at it in depth. So, when you start a level, you can just run straight to the right. Jumping might feel faster, but it doesn't make any difference. So you can either jump or run to the right. The only difference possible that jumping could make is potentially causing different amounts of lag. But from what I've seen, it's very similar, and running just forward usually causes less lag. So I like to not jump. Okay, now we come to the first hill here, and you'll notice that I'll jump for a frame here. Now I'm going to demonstrate here that this is the latest frame you can jump without losing speed. So right here is the latest that you can jump without losing speed. Now of course you'll see that it stays at 300 for the whole thing now. So of course you want to jump a little bit earlier and do a bigger jump, so a jump that lasts for longer than just a single frame. but this is just to demonstrate that you can leave it till about here to jump. Usually I like to jump back here and jump across the whole hill just to be safe. Now there's some little divots in the ground here, you don't need to worry about those. They don't cause you to gain or lose any speed. You can't, say, roll off them to get speed either. So here's the first technical bit of the run. So we've got this ring box and we want to roll through it. So we'll hit roll just the frame before we touch the ring box, so I guess that would be about here that you hit roll. And you don't want to do it too late, because if you do it too late you'll end up ducking instead of rolling. So you just roll into the ring box. Of course in runs you won't be able to know exactly when the last frame you can roll is, but you try and do it so that you roll into the ring box rather than just hitting the ring box and then ducking instead of rolling. Anyway, what you want to do is roll into the ring box and then immediately press left after you've hit the ring box to get out of the roll, and then hold right again. Now what will happen if you do roll, and I can show that, is if you do roll, then Sonic just keeps losing speed. See, 2C8, 2C4, 2C0, 2BC, and it's going down there. So if you do roll like that, Sonic keeps losing speed, and for example if you do roll too late, then he'll just duck instead of rolling into the ring box. And if you roll too early, he's going to lose speed before he hits the ring box anyway, because when you roll on the ground, Sonic slows down a bit each frame. So the solution is you roll, you press left to get out of the roll, and then you're back at full walking speed. Now if you try and jump out of the roll instead, you'd find that you'd overshoot this platform here, and we want to roll off the edge of this, so we don't want that. Now if you're having trouble with pressing the down and the left really fast, you can just roll into the ring box and keep rolling all the way to the edge here. It's only quite an advanced strat to press left here, and it doesn't save much time at all. That's one other thing I'll mention about this run, is the strats that I'll be using are quite advanced, and definitely don't feel obligated to use all of them, because I certainly don't use all of the strats in this run. But I've tried to include everything that is humanly possible, theoretically. Okay, now we want to roll off the edge of this ledge here. Now I've done this on the last frame possible, because if I were to do it any later, he'd just run off. Now when you roll off edges like this, you want to leave the roll until the last frame possible. So roll off the edge as close as you possibly can. Now the reason for that is, imagine if I rolled all the way back here. You'll see that my speed is decreasing a lot before I hit the edge, and that's not good. We want the minimum speed decrease. Now when you go to roll in the air, you'll notice the speed increases. And you have to hold right in the air for this, and I believe if you hold down as well, it doesn't work. So if you're holding down, even if you're holding down and right, it doesn't work. So you want to press down for as little as possible, and then go straight back to pressing right in the air. And then you'll start building speed in the air. Now this pressing right while rolling to build speed only works if you're airborne or going downhill. Now let's see, so we're building up speed in the air, and we're hitting the ground here. So you'll notice when I hit the ground, it's going to start decreasing in speed again. So now we're above the speed cap, we're at 440, and recall the speed cap was at 300. So we're above the speed cap now, so I'll make this point again. If I were to jump out, I would snap straight to 3 if I was still holding right, but if I were to jump out without holding right, I would only slow down gradually. I wouldn't snap straight to 3. Okay, so we don't want to jump out of here anyway, we want to keep rolling. So I'm going to roll down the hill here, and you'll see when you start rolling down the hill, you're going to start building up speed again. So building it up all the way up to 5. Now I believe you don't have to hold right here. So yeah, you only have to hold right to build speed once you're airborne, but I kind of like to hold right. But just remember, if you're rolling on the ground, you actually don't need any inputs on the D-pad. So I could let go of right and it wouldn't make any difference here. Anyway, so we roll through the crab, and you want to jump out of the roll only when you think you've reached walking speed again. And this is a general rule for all rolling. So notice if I jump out, say here, even if I don't, so if I hold right, I'm going to hit the speed cap, so I'll let go of right. And we're decreasing at 10 in hex subunits every frame. So I'm at 308 by the time I'm at frame 1302. But if I weren't to jump, I would be at 3C2 by frame 1302. So if you're on flat ground, slowing down is inevitable. You're going to slow down if you're not rolling in the air or rolling down a hill. But to minimize this slowdown, you want to still be in the rolling state. Because if you're in the rolling state, you're only decreasing by 4 subunits every frame. But if you're jumping, you're decreasing by 10. So this is very important to stay in the rolling state if you think you're above the speed cap. In this case, we are above the speed cap of 300. Okay, so we want to jump out when we're about to hit this hill, because when you hit the hill, even if you're rolling, you're still going to start decreasing a lot. So I'll take out this jump and I'll show you what it's like. So 5E, 4.8, 3.2. That is decreasing by more than 10 units every frame. So at this point, it's actually better to jump out. We're only decreasing by 10 units every frame. Now, how are you going to know when to jump in runs? Well, this is the tricky part. So first of all, we'll assume that you've got this glitch in the ring box and you're at full running speed by the time you hit the edge. Now, one little note is if you didn't get the glitch, you'd be at less than full running speed by the time you hit the edge. So you'd start building speed in the air less quickly, in a sense. So you'd start building speed in the air from a lower speed. So by the time you hit the ground, you're only at like 408-ish. But if we've done the left, gotten out of the roll, by the time we hit the ground, we're at 458. So hitting this ground at a higher speed lets you carry along the ground at a higher speed. So that's why hitting left here is so crucial, because you start the roll at a higher speed, which means the whole roll continues at a higher speed. Anyway, back to what I was saying before. So the real variability is when do you hit the roll button here. So we are humans, so we're not going to be able to hit it perfectly. Hitting it 1 frame later than this causes you not to roll. So you don't want to leave it too late, because that would be risky and you might not get the roll. So you want to try and hit it as late as possible without missing the roll, basically, which means that you might end up hitting it a bit earlier. So this means that you might be at a lower speed by the time you get to the edge here, and well, that's an issue. So you might have hit your speed cap here and it would be better to jump out, for example. But it's fairly lenient, so if I roll quite a bit earlier, like how much is this? 7 frames earlier, I still only hit the speed cap around here. So I think basically no matter when you roll, as long as you've done the thing where you press left, you should be pretty good if you start jumping out around here. And that jump will be used to scale the hill. So in this human theory test that I've done here, I've let go of right as I'm jumping, and that's just to avoid hitting the speed cap. So I'm decreasing gradually until I hit the speed cap at 300 and I'm holding right again. Now, if you weren't to keep holding right, you would just keep decreasing past the speed cap. So we do want to avoid that and hold right when we think we're at the speed cap. But if you're in a run, I think letting go of right for this little bit of time probably isn't worth it. So just, I'd say, hold right when you jump up the hill. And you should be jumping around here, or probably more like back of the bush or something like that. Somewhere in this range you want to be jumping to go up the hill. Anyway, one thing I'll note is this is the last frame you should be jumping on. So here, you don't want to jump any later than this, otherwise you'll start losing speed as you go to roll up the hill. Okay, so you want to jump, and you keep your speed cap speed in the air here, but when you hit the hill, you're going to lose it again. So, yep, see, we've gone down to 2EC. That's lower, so we want to jump off the hill as soon as we can. So try and time your jumps. So this jump should be frame perfect. Yep. So try and time your jumps so that you you get off the hill as soon as possible. Because being on these upward hills, that will slow you down. So you want to avoid those. Okay, let's keep going. So go to the right, and you'll see I roll into this invincibility box and jump straight out of the roll. Now, you hit the invincibility box so that you avoid some lag frames. So if I were to instead jump over, all these red frames are lag, so you can see how many lag frames it's producing. That was, I think, 7 more, roughly. But if you roll and then jump out, you don't get any lag. So you might be tempted to think that the invincibility actually causes lag when Sonic has the invincibility effect. But really, this flashing box on screen is much worse than the invincibility effect. So yep, roll into it, jump out, and then you should be fine. So now we're going to roll down this hill. It's a very precise, well, not super precise, but basically this frame that I'm rolling here, this is as late as you want to roll. If you roll any later than this, you're going to get less speed. If you roll earlier than this, let me see if I can demonstrate this. So at frame 1500, if I roll here, I've got speed 4 FC. If I roll a bit later though, I've got speed 4 E4. If I roll a bit earlier, I've got 4 F8. So basically you want to go, I mean ideally here, but if you're going to sway on any side, you want to go a little bit earlier than this. So probably a little bit earlier than this will do. Basically as soon as this hill sort of goes from a weak slope to a very steep slope, that's basically when you want to start rolling. It's not too bad if you don't hit this perfectly, but try and get it around here. Okay, and then the rest of the level is literally hold right to win. So just hold right for this whole section, don't worry about anything else. And now one last technicality with hitting the signpost. So I don't really have a good reference for this because it's sort of in the first level and you can just reset if it goes wrong. But around, so when this whole screen gets covered, like about when you see this grass here, I like to hold left for a bit, see how I'm doing in the TAS here, and I like to hold left for a bit and then press right. The TAS doesn't press right, but it doesn't need to. So I like to hold left for a bit, let go, and then kind of press right very weakly so that Sonic's facing to the right. And what you're aiming for here is for Sonic to be right over this signpost. So when the screen catches up, you see my velocity is 0, 0, 0, so I'm not moving. But Sonic is right over where the signpost is. So as soon as that signpost loads, you're going to be over the spot, so you'll trigger the signpost. Now this first level is a bit weird for demonstrating signpost things, but basically with these signposts, what you want to do is hit them when you're not moving at all. So if you hit them really fast, they're going to fly up in the air and do a massive animation and take a long time to come down. So you basically want to stop yourself before you hit these signposts. This level you can do it perfectly because you've got a lot of time while the screen is catching up to you to stop yourself before the signpost loads. So you can get exactly in position, hit the signpost at 0 velocity, and that'll give the shortest animation, so you'll get past the level quicker. The next levels are more technical with hitting the signposts, and we'll get to them next level. Okay, so we'll just skip through this bonus screen. Okay, and once again I'll play through this level and see what it's like. Notice me slowing down before the signpost as well. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, okay, good. First thing you want to do in this level is jump into the hole. So if you happen to land a bit earlier, so suppose I jump earlier here, you'll see Sonic does this animation and then he falls down. But if you can actually jump past that trigger, so jump straight down the hole. Now the reference that I like for this is I like to jump so that I would only grab the last ring out of this set, and then I just hold the jump button for the whole jump. So that's my reference. But you can do it a little bit earlier and get that second to last ring as well, which this Human Theory TAS does. So yeah, basically just try and jump so that you'll only grab the last ring on the set, hold the jump button for the whole way, and then you'll never hit this animation if you do that right. Now you've kind of got to maneuver yourself through here, so you'll see I'm holding left and then right, So you'll notice that my speed here, it decreases, but it never hits 0. So we're speeding up again through here. Now, if I went right any sooner, I would bonk the wall and reset to 0. So that's one really important thing. You don't want to bonk walls, because if Sonic runs into the wall, it'll set the velocity to 0, and you'll have to build up speed again. But if you kind of maneuver yourself so that you don't quite bonk this wall here, then you can kind of move out at more speed. It's very, very minor, and it's probably only going to save you a frame or two, but it's important to know. Anyway, so the next thing we're going to do is do a little jump here. This jump, I think it was a, let's see, it was a 4-frame window. So this jump here is a 4-frame window. If you do it any later than that, it's going to lose you time. And the timing for this is you want to jump as soon as you hit the ground. Now, I say this is a 4-frame window, and the purpose of this jump is basically just to, so right now I'm traveling down at quite a fast speed because I'm coming off a jump. But if I was just leaving the ledge here, I'd have to build up downward speed. So it's actually a bit faster to come down at a higher speed so that when you reach the edge, you're traveling down faster. It's a bit like this method kind of up here. You don't want to bonk the wall or hold right. You don't want to hold right against the wall either because you'll lose your speed. It's like this. You don't want to be pinned down against the ground because you'll lose your downward speed. Anyway, so probably don't bother about this jump, honestly, because another issue here is it's hard to get the turnaround, and you want to, so what you want to do really is run off the edge and then turn around and then land in this bit. So you want to be in this higher bit, you don't want to fall down any further, because the general direction you want to go is left here, and if you fall down, that's just longer before you can go left. So you jump over the ring box and fall down. Okay, so we're falling down here, and I start pressing right here. Probably don't bother pressing right until you hit the water. Now this is another speed cap thing. You'll notice that I've let go of right for 2 frames here. So, and my speed keeps increasing basically except for those 2 frames. Now if I were to hold right during this situation, my speed would snap to 100, which is the in-water speed cap. So this is another general method. If you're going at a good speed, you really just want to let go of right when you enter really shallow water. Another application for this is Jungle Zone Act 1. So there's some shallow water there that you have to jump through. And if you just hold right and jump through it, you go really slow. But if you let go of right when you're in the water, you don't hit the water speed cap, so it doesn't slow you down. I mean, it does slow you down a tiny bit from not holding right, but it slows you down much less than hitting the water speed cap, which literally thirds your speed over speed cap in air. Okay, so basically what you want to do in the run is you want to start holding right fairly low towards the water and then just jump out of the water. This does press right fairly early, so don't worry too much about that. Anyway, so the aim is you want to hit the edge here and roll. Now, you have to be pretty careful about this because you don't want to hit the speed cap before the roll, but usually if you, so let's see, usually if you just hold down and right here, so you hit down to do the roll, usually you don't hit the speed cap. I think, because you'll notice I don't ever have to let go of right here. So you can get a roll fast enough that you don't hit the speed cap in the water. But you know, if you're nervous, just press down and don't hold right. But I always just hold right and down in runs, and I never hit the speed cap getting this roll. So I think you're pretty safe there. Anyway, so this roll is really important, and it's really important to start it at a really high speed. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to jump and then hesitate and then slow down and then get the roll, because you'll start the roll at a slow speed, and we do not want to roll starting at a slow speed, because starting even a little bit slower carries on through the whole roll. Okay, so we start the roll at the walking speed in air, and we go. So we're holding right through here, and you get quite a bit of speed. You'll notice we're already up to 4C area. Now you're going to start slowing down because you're on ground here. Now, this jump is very important. So you jump out of the water, and you need to make sure to not press right and hit the speed cap. So I'll show you what happens if you do. You press right and you slow down, barely any velocity at all. But yep, so when you jump out, you need to not be pressing right. And you can let go of right as soon as you touch the ground. You want to hold right here, because if you don't hold right, you won't build up speed in the air. But once you've touched the ground, you can let go of right altogether and just focus on hitting this jump. So this jump is as late as possible, and you do want to leave it to as late as possible, because otherwise, if you jump out early, so jumping, you'll notice I'm decelerating. Let's see. Jumping in the water is not too bad, but jumping in the air you want to avoid. Decelerating at 10. Yeah, but basically rolling, you'll slow down less while you're rolling. Anyway, so, and I've done kind of another roll here. So you'll notice I'm not holding right at all during this section, because at this section, optimally, you're going to be above 300. So even if you were in the air, it's not worth holding right until like here where I hold right. But basically, I don't press right again until the very end of this section, where again you hit another one of these really tight rolls. Again, you're not going to be able to hit it perfectly on the frame that you're right on the edge, so you might have to roll a little bit earlier, and that'll slow you down for this, and you'll start the roll a little bit slower. But that's just going to happen. We can't hit everything frame perfectly. So now out of this water, you want to jump and not press right. So again, same reasoning. And you want to jump to land on this platform, little jump, and then big jump up to the spring. Another alternative is you could land on this platform, do a big jump, and then walk off to the spring. But this is like what I was saying before earlier. So notice at the edge, I'm already traveling down really fast because I've come from a jump. Now, if I just walked off the edge now, he'd like slowly fall, but now I'm traveling down really fast and I'll hit the spring sooner. Okay. Now we jump up here and do some maneuvering. I don't really like these sections like jump up, turn around, jump off, but you gotta do them. Anyway, so big jump up to hit the spring. You want to get this in the same jump as jumping from down near the spring. So, yep, jump. And you'll want to maneuver yourself a little bit in the air. If you just hold left, then you'll bonk this ceiling. So ideally, you just get under the ceiling. Now, I'll show you what happens if you do hold left. So if I were to hold left a bit sooner, bonk. So yeah, you can see how that's much worse than going through at full speed. And yeah, bonking sets your speed to 0, so you have to really be careful with that. And we roll off here. Be really careful when you do this. One thing that I haven't mentioned yet is input drops. This game is really rough with input dropping. So that means basically you'd go to press the jump button and it wouldn't jump. So I'm holding left all the way here because you can, but if you're... So imagine if you did miss this jump, and this jump is pretty precise because you see I don't have much room to make it once I hit the ground. Imagine if you miss this, you're going to roll off and fall down. So be a bit careful here, but if you're brave, you can hold left. You can hold left for a lot of it though, because see this roll is right off the edge perfectly. But if you've rolled from a little bit back, you'll be going slower, so you would have a bit more of a window to make this jump. Now I'm pretty bad for this in runs. What I do is I just hold left for this whole jump, and that'll obviously make me hit the speed cap in the water if I do that, and then that would be bad. Like I'd jump out like this, but then I would just hold left for the whole time and I'd do the full jump. But really what you should be doing is a smaller jump and letting go of left. So here I press left in the air to hit the speed cap, so the speed cap of 3 in the air. And that's just to slow down and maneuver a bit to get around this spring. So again, you want to hold right on this spring and you don't want to bonk the wall, but that wall is really hard to not bonk. So see how you go with that. And then you just jump across. Try not to be on this platform too much because it will push you back. And then roll off the edge. Okay, so this is very precise and you want to be really careful in this part. So you'll notice that I've started holding left about here and Sonic's gonna skid on here, and then once you've done that, you want to press down again to roll. So the rolling lets you fling up off this ramp, but I've gone a lot slower. So generally, if you see these rings, it's a good roll. And you'll notice that I do have to let go of right in the air, otherwise I go too fast. So ideally, you want to actually go through these rings. That's a very good height. But if you're like can slow it down like this run did and have a lot of control, you can go over them. So usually what I do is I usually hit the ramp, I guess, kind of in the middle, like maybe here or something. And then I hold left, and then so I'm holding left a little bit before I hit the ramp, because otherwise, because holding left slows you down in the air. So you hold left so that you slow down and hit this, and then I press down, and then I don't press anything, and then I go off the ramp. If you just hold right, you can hit the ramp. Like if you hit the ramp really fast though, you'll go up in the air, and you'll go way above this sign. Like you see, I only just land before the sign. So if I overshot it anymore, I'd go over the sign, and that would just be a waste because, I mean, yes, you'd cover more horizontal distance, but you need a specific vertical height as well. Okay, so now this is the first real proper signpost optimization. So what you want to do here is when you land on the ground, you want to jump out of your roll and then hold right a little bit so that you hit the speed cap. Now when you hit the speed cap, you'll notice I was at 8d4, which is a massive speed, and well, I go straight back down to 300. Let's see, so you hit the speed cap and then you hold left to slow yourself down, and let's see, so yep, I'm at 0 and you land on the sign. You can tell because it'll do like a little poppy sound. You won't hear much of a jingling sound, you'll just hear a pop, and that's usually when you've done the signpost really well. So you'll get to know these sounds, and the longer the signpost sound is, generally that means you've lost a bit more time. Anyway, so there's sort of two strategies for these signposts. So what you can do is you could slow down. So you'll notice I jump before this signpost and it does a little bounce there. That bounce actually loses a bit of time. So jumping is technically slower, but the only other alternative is to kind of not do the jump and kind of try and slow down so that you're moving right into the signpost, but your speed stops as soon as you hit the signpost. You can look at the my TAS of the proper TAS of this game, and that doesn't jump into the signpost. So it is technically more optimal to be on land when you hit these signposts, like slow down on the ground and don't jump. But it's much easier in runs to jump, and you can be much more sure that you will hit the signpost when you're not moving at all. So walking is more optimal, but it's much more risky and it's much harder to get right, and a lot can go wrong. And this method is more precise and consistent. I recently used to do, I did walking up until very recently, and then I swapped over to now I jump over the signpost in runs. But yes, if you get really good at hitting these signposts on foot without jumping, then sure, go for it. But I used to do that a long time, and I've just changed back now. So this level, the jumps on the hills are going to be the last frame possible. So this is how late you can leave the hill jump there. Obviously jump a bit earlier than that, and you want to jump off the hill as early as possible as well, because more time spent on that slope slows you down more. So you can't hit this boss on the first phase, you need to wait until the second phase, because he actually flies lower in the second phase. So you want to get 7 hits here. It doesn't really matter, so you can even leave the 7th hit until that late, but you can't get 8 hits when he's coming down there. So we've got to wait for this phase, and I don't really have a reference for this. Sort of what I try to do is the boss music. You'll hear there's a specific note in the boss music, and that's when the jump will be. And you can try and use that as a reference. I'll just play it back now. Yeah, it's like dun 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 dun, dun jump. Yep, that's the note. I hope so, because I can't actually hear it. Anyway, so you want to hit that jump and do a full jump, be in that position, and it's at his lowest point of his arc. The reason you can hit that is because he actually flies lower in the second phase, but you can't land that jump in the first phase. Now, the fun thing is, this jump is actually frame perfect. So, hitting this jump is extremely hard, and if you miss it, you basically go to the left, try and land it again and again and again and again when he bobs down. And if you miss all the jumps, he'll go to the left, to the right, and then he'll start descending here. So you hit him when he's descending on the right, basically, if something were to go wrong like that. So let's see. So yeah, that's how you do it. The jump is frame perfect. Don't stress out too much if you miss it. I mean, a lot of people will just slam the reset button as soon as they miss that jump, but in my opinion, it's not really worth it. But, you know, I'd rather focus on the late game. Anyway, so there's some tech with the screen unlocking here as well, so let's see. I'll put the cursor on. Now you'll see I run up to the edge of the screen right as it unlocks, and then you have a lot of speed. This is really a massive part of the optimization. So I don't really have a reference for this. I do a lot of it by feel. But what I've done in this Human Theory TAS is so this spot where I'm standing right now, this is the most right that you can stand while still being able to hit full speed before the edge of the screen. So you see I'm going to hit the edge at exactly 300, and then it'll unlock. So that's sort of to demonstrate, I don't have a setup that I can tell you for this, but when you go to find your own setup, make sure that your setup starts from Sonic being more left than this position. Don't find a setup where you can run and kind of hit the edge of the screen while it unlocks if you're standing here, because that's pointless and you might as well just hold right to run up against the screen. It's better to be a bit too early than too late with the screen unlocking, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to bonk the edge of the screen. I'll show you what happens if you bonk the edge, so bonk down to 0. So you'd have to speed up again. And that's basically the equivalent of running against the screen before it unlocks. So yep, you want to build up speed so that you're just about to hit the edge of the screen and you're running at full speed, and then it unlocks and you can keep going. One reference that I like is I kind of try and, so you'll see he's going to fly away, and you kind of try to be roughly in line with him as he's flying away. So if he was starting from back here and I was under him, I would start running as he's flying away. But that's a really rough reference, and it's a good idea to get a better one, and I still need to figure out a better one myself. Hitting the capsule isn't very precise at all. So basically, no matter when you jump, as long as you hit the button, you're doing it perfectly. Alright, Bridge 1, quite a technical level. One thing I forgot to mention, sorry, is you should hold. So just hold the 1 or 2 or both during these transitions as well. Yeah, so it skips a bit of a not cutscene, but it skips. Yeah, it makes it fade out sooner. Okay, this level, once again, just hold right. Hold right. You don't need to worry about jumping at the start. You can if you want. Anyway, so I'll play through the level and then we'll talk about it. Alrighty. Let's have a look. So just jumping over at the start, nothing too precise here. One thing that I'll mention is try and avoid grabbing rings. In this level it's really easy to accidentally grab 50 rings, and that'll take you to a special stage, which you really don't want, because that's incredibly slow. A whole extra stage that's not compulsory. So anyway, I've got 0 rings, so you try and avoid. It's often in runs it's hard to avoid some of these up here, so usually 1 or 2 is okay. Anyway, so pressing down at the last possible frame again, and hold right for this whole section here. Now, sorry. Now, as soon as you land here, you want to jump as soon as you can. This TAS technically can leave it till a little bit later, but when you're doing runs, it's kind of hard to get a jump that you just press the button for 1 frame like this. So we want to land on the bush, and often you can overshoot it. So what I like to do in runs is just hold right when you do the jump. So jump as soon as you land and hold right. That is slower because you hit the speed cap, but overshooting the bush accidentally is much worse. Okay, and jump over the shield. We don't want to get the shield because having the shield causes a lot of lag. So we just put up with the lag that the box has on the screen for now, and we'll be past it soon. It's much better than getting the shield. If you do happen to get the shield, because you can kind of roll through the shield and it is kind of fast to do that. If you do get the shield, make sure you lose it in Bridge Zone 2. Losing it in Bridge 1 is a bit silly because, I mean, it's going to slow you down a lot, but Bridge 2 is an auto-scroller, so you can lose it there with no problems. Now I've rolled down these, jump out, roll down the other one. You'll notice that I'm jumping out about here, where the fish is, and I'm not pressing right for a little while, pressing right when I get past this ring, basically. If you want, you can just hold right for the whole jump. It's not really a big deal. Probably because, again, these 1 frame jumps are hard, so you can probably just, you know, jump and hold right and you'll be fine. If you don't jump, you slow down a little bit below the speed cap and then speed up again. So you can also not jump. I think it is faster to do this roll at the start and then not jump at all. Or you could just jump over everything. But yeah, if you want a little bit of a nicer strategy, you can basically just start the roll here and carry it through. Or you can jump over. The only thing that's a bit annoying about doing these rolls is look at how many rings you get, so it can be risky in that sense. Anyway, so rolling under these rings again, not jumping out until it starts sloping up this time. And yeah, so those little rolls on the 2 bridges, don't worry too much about them because they don't save that much time. I mean, on this jump, obviously, you can basically just hold right because you're not going to let it go for 3 frames there. Or you can, because you don't need right leading up to this jump at all, so you could, you know, jump and then slam the right button 3 frames after you jump if you want. Anyway, jumping here. Now this bridge, these falling bridges are absolutely terrible for dropping inputs. Like, basically, once you step onto the bridge, you can't jump, essentially. It's not so much lag that's dropping the inputs, it's sort of because of the way the falling pieces move. But you want to jump just before the bridge, and then run across these a little bit because it's kind of hard to jump off them, and then jump off over the bee. So you don't want to bounce on the bee because that's slow. You're going to jump off over the bee, and you kind of want to... Now, don't run across this bridge though, because the falling pieces cause so much lag that, yeah, there's no way you want to jump across it. And if you do happen to jump across it, run across it, you wait until... So if the pieces are going to start falling, you should be jumping to get them off camera as soon as possible, like this. So a big jump to get that falling piece off camera, and those 2 will fall as well soon. Okay, so you jump over the bee. It's not a big deal if you hit the bee, but try not to. It's just a bit slow. Okay, so when this thing's about to come down, this seesaw, it depends on your jump height, so you really do want to hold your jump as full as possible here, and then land on it while you're moving down really fast from a really high jump. So this will bounce up, and then, yeah, we run to the right and we roll off the edge. So it's a bit precise, but basically any kind of jumpy rolly thing is fine, as long as you bounce off this checkpoint box. So that's really important. So when you roll, you should hold right for the whole roll. bounce off the checkpoint box. And the reason that bounce is important is because now you're in the air in a roll and you can hold right to keep building up speed. So you built up a lot of speed here. This is like one of the fastest rolls in the game. Now when you land again, you want to jump. So we'll jump for a frame. This jump, you can be really tempted to hold it out, but don't just tap the button, and make sure don't press right, because if you tap the button and hold right, you're going to die, because you're going to overshoot this, but you're going to undershoot this, and you're going to fall in here. So do not press right, because you'll hit the speed cap. Now around this part of the jump, I like to hold down, and then you get this roll. Once you know that you're rolling, hold right again, and you'll land here. And then you want to jump off here, and don't press right because you'll hit the speed cap, but kind of do halfway through the jump. So you'll hit the speed cap. Now if you don't hit that speed cap, you're gonna miss these. So you want to land on one of these and roll off, basically. Now the safest strat, and the one that I do in runs, is I jump and then I land on the top one and roll off. But you can roll off the top one while going at a really fast speed. So you can land and roll off the top one without hitting the speed cap. But what happens is you fall in a hole down here if you do that. So hit the speed cap, roll off, and then hold right again. So holding right, and then you want to do a little jump over this bush. I roll off the bush here, but that's not strictly necessary. Usually I do a big jump over the bush, leave the jump till quite late, and if you hit the speed cap in the air of this jump, you're not going to make it, but you can do a big jump and basically land on this back seesaw and do the roll like the run will do here. Now if you get this roll off the seesaw, let's see. So I was rolling off at full speed. Probably a good idea to carry this roll. So I do a little left press here, but you could do a little jump out around here, or you could just carry it all the way here, down to the slope. But anyway, you roll down these, similar to last time, and you can basically just carry this roll all the way to this slope here, jump out, jump across, and we hit the spring. You hit the spring to kind of get all the things off screen so that you reduce a bit of lag. Don't stress out too much if you don't hit the spring, just jump over this bridge and try not to let too many pieces fall if that happens. And now we do this jump to the signpost. So big jump because basically if you do a small jump, like if you do a big jump, you've kind of got more time above the signpost to maneuver yourself. But you don't want to do the big jump too late, because if you do a big jump and you like only start the jump when you're at the signpost already, it's ages until you come down and hit the signpost. So I actually have a reference for this. You'll notice there's a bit of a lag spike before you get to the signpost. Sonic stops for a bit. Now anytime around or during that lag spike, I do a jump and just hold the jump button. And that gives you plenty of time to maneuver yourself in the air. So you press left for a bit until you think Sonic isn't moving anymore, and then you hit the signpost. And that's the end of the level. Now we're going to fly through Bridge 2 because that's an auto-scroller. And honestly, it's a terrible level. Like, it's the one really bad thing about running this game. Apart from that, it's a really fun speed game. Only thing to talk about in this level is lag reduction. So one strat here, you need to wait on this seesaw, hold down, and then wait until it's almost push you off, and then jump at this speed. Now there's a ring box kind of up here. You don't want that to be on screen, especially while the bee is on screen. So you basically kill this bee, and then you go down here. You can't avoid it coming on screen altogether, like unless you're really, really technical, but yeah. So you want to kill that bee while the ring box is off screen, and the rest of the level really doesn't matter what you do. Just obviously don't do things that are going to cause lag, so don't let heaps of these pieces fall, and whenever a flashing box comes on screen, break it immediately. Now, we got rings, so we don't want to get 50 rings. We actually want to end the level on the least amount of rings possible, because this level has a time bonus at the end. And now, usually in speedrun timing for this game, they cut off the time bonuses. But if you get too many rings in this level, it'll actually last longer than the time bonus, and it'll take you longer in real time to get through that bonus screen. So I don't think I think that actually does make your time slower. But even if you just do this level the same every time so that you don't have many rings when you finish, it'll save you time not sitting through the bonus screen anyway. So you hit the life box down there because it can cause a bit of lag, and it's fun. Like, it would scare people if they weren't familiar with the level. Hit the boxes as soon as they come on screen. Now this fish, I do a damage abuse from it, so I get hit there so that I have 0 rings at this point. And that basically eliminates any chance that I could go to the special stage. Now, something that would be technically faster is you could get 100 rings, roll it over to an extra life about here. So roll over to the 100 rings, which sets it back to 0, gives you a life, and then get like 1 ring. Because that 1 ring would be faster, but if you mess that up, you'd have too many rings and go to the special stage. And also, like, yeah, it's not really worth it in my opinion. But you could route out the rings so that you end up with 100 right at the end, and then you get 1. This is another demonstration of how you do it without jumping. I can't decide whether I like to jump for this one or not. But yeah, not jumping is much faster, and in a Taz you wouldn't jump, but jumping is a bit more consistent RTA. You could find a reference so that you're running at full speed when this screen unlocks, but I don't have one, so I just run up against the screen. It does make hitting this signpost a bit easier as well. One last thing is, like, I guess if you're going to try and finish this level with 1 ring, don't finish it with 0 rings, because you'll get the little ring bonus on the sign and end up with 10 anyway. Just finish it with 1 optimally if you can. But yeah, I think even 7. Let's have a look at the bonus. Even 7. Yeah, the time bonus is still ticking down. So as long as you get less than 10 rings, you don't lose any time to the ring bonus. Anyway, this boss is quite a new strat that I've been using. So, alright, so we better roll down this bridge on the last frame. Jump out when it starts to slope up, and then, so this is as late as you want to jump. Don't hold it for a little bit and then press it again. You know, not too much after you jump. If you don't like that, you can just hold right. It's not that bad anyway. Just to hold right out of the jump. Okay, so this boss, so he's going to come up on a random side. So that's the annoying thing. You could save a lot of time if you knew where he was, but yeah, because it's random, you sort of have to react to where he is. Now, the strat that I've come up with is jumping a little bit before he actually comes out of the water and going over a particular side. Now, that is a guessing game, but you jump so soon before he comes out of the water that if you do see him come out of the other side, you have time to react and go over to the other side and get him anyway. Now, the base model for doing this boss is 4 hits the first time he comes up and 4 hits the second time that he comes up. But what I have been doing lately in runs is trying to go for 5 hits the first time he comes up and 3 hits the second time. That saves a little bit of time. But yeah, if you're just beginning, 4 and 4 is fine. Just when you're bouncing off of him, don't do massive jumps because it will take you longer, the bounces will take longer, and you'll hit him slower. So my strategy is to do kind of a little jump just before he comes out of the water. Not a little, like, you don't want to do a 1-frame jump, because if your jump is too small, you'll bounce not high enough, and then you'll fall through him because he won't be vulnerable again. So you want like a medium jump, not too high, not too low. Anyway, so you jump, you guess a side. Now, if he were to come up on the other side at this point, I would run to the right and then jump again and then get 4 hits on him instead of 5. But if he does come up on the side you want, you can get 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can hit him under the water. Now, I've done this really specifically in the Taz, so that, now, you look at the 4th hit. If he's any lower than this when you get your 4th hit, so basically if his circle-y face opening has gone under the water, don't go for the 5th hit. But if he's any higher than this, then you should be able to get the 5th hit. That also does depend a little bit on your jump height, so you have to be careful of that. If you've done a really big jump, then you're not likely to land the 5th hit. If he's despawned already, you would fall down and die. So yeah, when you're starting out, definitely go 4-4, but eventually you can move to 5-3, and then you get 3 hits here. Now, of course, if you knew what side he was going to come up on, it would be easy, and you could probably get 6 hits even, but unfortunately it is RNG. So now, again, I don't have a setup for when he's going to be off the screen, but as long as you're if you're going to find a setup, be any further left than this again. Because if you like start running from here, you're not going to be at full speed before you hit the edge of the screen. So you'll see I'm at full speed, and then the screen unlocks. Yeah, okay. Now, next up is Jungle 1, and this is actually one of the more technical levels in the run. So we'll play it through, and then I'll talk about it. Okay. Now this was a 30, and I think my best time that I've got in practice or a run is a 33. Something I have actually been forgetting to read them off, so I'll read them off now. Green Hill 2, my best time is a 23, Bridge 1, 26, Jungle 1, 33, Jungle 2, 42. And we'll get to the other ones later. Obviously I don't care about Green Hill 1 or Bridge 2 or the bosses, because they're like either always the same or, yeah. Don't have timers. Okay, so let's see. You roll off this gap, and so you roll because you hold right and you build speed a bit. Then you do a little jump up here, and now you can let go so you don't hit the speed cap, but it's probably best just hold it off this jump, honestly. So a little jump and then a big jump. Now you want to land on the edge here and do a roll off and hold right. And then you'll build speed here. Jump off, don't hold right yet, only hold right, I guess. What's going to be the reference? Let's see. Probably hold right, you know, once the ring's gone off screen, I guess. Now let's see. So we're jumping up here, and you want to roll off this little ledge here. Now this is the most technical part. So let's see. So another strategy you can do is roll off here, hit the shield box, and then, you know, roll across to the waterfall area. But the issue with that is the shield causes a lot of lag. So this method not only is faster in game time, but it is faster in real time. If you do get the shield, again, you want to lose it as soon as possible, because if you take the shield all the way through Jungle 2, it can be quite laggy unless you're, you know, off screen a lot like a Taz or something. Anyway, yep, so we roll off here. Now this sort of has two methods, so I'll show you the first one, which is what I did in this run. So let's see. You hold right for this whole time. Now if you hold right, you're going to overshoot this platform here, so Sonic's going to fall past it. Now once you're about almost past it, you want to start holding left. And you want to hold left because that means you'll hit the crab here. Then when you know that you've hit the crab or that you're going to hit the crab, hold right again. And then you could land on here, or you could land on this grass and just roll across the gap to here. And then you jump off. Now there's sort of two things that you could do here. You could, what I've done in this run is I've gone on the lower path and then jumped up. Or, let's see. Or you could jump up to this little bit of grass, roll through the checkpoint box, roll down here, and jump from here. Now rolling through the checkpoint box is faster, and you can get it, and I did have it in this run before. But I think if you've done this complete strategy where you've hold right and gone past this, then you're probably better off just doing a tiny little jump and then landing on this bit. Of course, don't hold right during the jump because you'll hit the speed cap and fall in the water and die. Now, if your jump is too high, let's see, what you're going to do is hit this box and land here or something like that, which is probably the more likely scenario. Don't do like a full jump though, because you'll, let's see, you just, I guess that's a bad example. Yeah, with this amount of speed, you just go straight through the box, but usually if you do a full jump, you like hit the edge of the box and don't break it. So anyway, now another strategy that I was using, and I think my PB uses, is, now this is a lot easier. What you can do is, it's easier but it's slower. You let go of right about here, and then you wouldn't press right at all during this part, and then Sonic would land on this platform and then fall down, like so. And then you'd press right again once you start falling down and you bounce off the crab. Now, because you're coming off a lower platform with that strategy, you would get less height from the crab bounce, and you would actually land kind of on the grass here. And then you roll across, and then it's very safe to jump up here, roll through the checkpoint box, land here, and jump off. So if you want to see a video of that, I think my PB does it. Or at least attempts to do it. Okay, so let's see. Now, I'm not holding right here because we're still sort of higher than the speed cap here. But once you know you're across the waterfall, you can basically hold right once you get to this bit of grass. Now, the only way you're going to make this jump from here to the edge of the waterfall is if you are above the speed cap. If you're below and you're just holding right for this whole jump, even if you do the biggest jump possible, you won't make it across. You can make it across from here if you do the biggest jump possible and hold right. But the issue with this is if this box is still here, then you run the risk of dropping inputs because of lag frames here. So you actually have to jump quite a bit early. And jumping earlier, of course, you get less distance. So yeah, making this jump is really hard. If you intend to make this jump while holding right, it's a good idea to break the checkpoint box so that there's no lag and less chance of dropped inputs, or just be really careful. Anyway, moving on, you've got to wait for this, and then, so we've got a reference-ish kind of thing, so when it gets past, you know, about that purple bush, you can start running right. Probably wait till a little bit later in runs, like maybe once it gets towards the bottom, and then jump off the edge, just so that you're kind of hitting full speed here. Again, okay, so we're rolling off here, and then, now this is really important. So this is where speed cap comes into play a lot. So you roll off here, be a bit hesitant with your roll, because you see how little time you have to jump here. So maybe don't hold right for the whole time, because if you miss this jump, you'll keep rolling and you'll fall down here. So be very hesitant with that roll, but it's a good idea because it's about the only sensible kind of movement you can do here, because if you jump, you'll like have some weird spacing later on. Okay, so you want to roll. Don't hold right though, because if you hold right for too long, let's see, you'd lose all your speed, because you'd hit the speed cap. So don't hold right, just jump, land, and then a little jump. Now don't hold right when you're in the water, but do hold right when you're out of the water. That's really important to hold right when you're out of the water. And then another jump out, so once you get out of the water, you can just hold right again, do a little roll off here. Okay, so you jump before the spikes, and you can let go for a little bit to not trigger the speed cap. I think this one is worth letting go a little bit for. And now this jumping is very specific. Again, this level is one where you have to be very careful about rings, but if the reason is because to do optimal movement, you have to go through a lot of rings. And this movement is good movement. So getting all those rings, you kind of follow those rings, and then you jump up and land here. That's really important, because if you don't follow the rings, you usually land around here, and then you've got to do a little jump and then a big jump, and it's very easy to drop this jump. So following the rings here kind of makes you land on, let's see, this platform a lot earlier, so you have a lot of time to make the jump off here. The jump itself isn't too precise, all you've got to do is land here, and if you miss it, there's another platform under here. There is one very advanced strat, which I really wouldn't recommend, and I didn't even put it in here because I don't think that a human would be able to reliably pull it off. But if you do roll right off the edge of here, frame perfectly, you can't roll a single frame earlier, you can actually make the roll all the way down to this lower platform. Then there's a spring down here, there's a spring kind of down lower, and if you jump on that spring and just hold right, it'll get you where you want to go. So what I like to do here is I like to basically do a full jump right off the edge of here, and then hold right for the whole full jump. This place that I've done it now, I think that's the earliest frame you can do it, so it is quite close to the edge. And you do run the risk of it dropping your inputs, so I don't know why I really like this strat, because it's probably bad and drops your inputs a lot. If you're having trouble, then go up here and do a jump. Okay, so I do a big jump, hold right, and then land here. That saves kind of the blind jump that you have if you jump from up here, because if you jump from up here, you go past this and you've sort of got to guess where the platform is, but the waterfall has all the same kind of repetitive tiles, so it's hard to tell where the platform is. You kind of have to use this, but you know that it's like a certain tile length away from this log, but you can't tell what a tile length is because of the waterfall, and it's just a mess. So that's kind of why I like jumping off here. Anyway, jump off here, and yeah, this is probably the hardest part of the run. So you want to roll off this log. You don't want to go too fast off of it, but you need to hold right pretty soon after you roll. So what I generally like to do is maybe like jump and let go of right here, and then just press right as I'm getting to this log. And you know, if you go too fast, you're going to miss your mark. But if you're a bit just hesitate a tiny bit after you roll, and you should be fine. Basically, you want to be holding right as soon as you bounce on this. And then now, alright, so I'm just going to show you what this run does, but don't do this. Okay, so lands on here, rolls off, holds right, gets to the end of the level. Now that is a lot easier said than done. Let's break it down. So, let's see. So we've just bounced off the box. Now what I usually like to do is I like to adjust by like pressing leftish and anything not right while I'm in the air here, so that I land on this little bit of grass before the crab and roll through it. And basically, once I've landed on that bit of grass, I'm essentially letting go of everything. Now, you'd roll down here up the grass, and this little kick is the worst thing. So if you're going too fast, or if you look at it funny, it will just drop you and you'll roll straight down through here. Yeah, the collision on this kick is just awful. So you have to be really careful, and you can't come at it too fast. This is like the absolute fastest you can come at it. Yeah, so what I like to do is basically land on this bit of grass, roll across, and basically not touch anything except maybe a little bit of right through here. You can roll off this and it'll look like you're going to fall down here, but it actually snaps you up onto here and you roll down. Anyway, so let's see. So in any case, basically no matter how fast you come off this kick, you're gonna get over these rings and such. Now hopefully the screen will lower a bit. Yeah, good. So in here is kind of where I like to land, in this little bit, because this thing stops you, and you can sort of land here, jump out, jump across, jump across. Or in here is a good place to land. But it's not good to overshoot this and land here, because yes, you could jump off this, but it'll drop your jumps and you'll probably go through here and fall down one of these very big holes. So that is extremely dangerous. So this part of the run, yes, you can make the whole roll over and get to the ending checkpoint and be waiting for it and do all that. But it is so unlikely that, like, I've never gotten it, even in practice. Even if you did get over this kind of watery area, if you go too fast, you'll even go off the right edge of the screen here and fall down under the signpost. So this is the hardest part of the run. Take it very slowly. It's worth going for these optimizations, but this is one of those ones where you have to be really careful. So try and land in here or in here. If you're feeling very, very brave, you could try and jump off of this, jump off of this, or jump off of this. But really, it's so likely that you'll die that it's definitely not worth it going in runs. But yeah, I'm putting this strat in here just to show that it is possible. And you can get a 30, that does say 30 under there. My best time was in practice, and it was a 33. I think I've got a 36 or 7 in a run before. The average is around 38. Okay. Jungle 2. So this level, well, we'll play through it and talk about it. It's got a thing where you have to wait for the screen to catch up to you, basically. You'll notice I still have 0 rings at this point, so it is a very risky level. Okay, a 37. I really couldn't help myself with kind of Taz tools in this level. My best time is a 42. So it is one of those levels that kind of benefits a lot from having Taz tools. Anyway, let's get cracking. So first off, I like to jump on this first platform and then the third platform and then jump up. When you're up, you want to wait for the screen to follow you a bit and then jump up left. Kinda couldn't help myself being off screen here. Jump up here. Okay, now you sort of have 2 options for this jump. So you're landing on this grass either way. And now this kind of platform here, you can come up to this graph from underneath, so don't bother trying to hesitate about it. You can jump from this platform, literally hold right and make it onto the grass. Anyway, so you can either jump from the grass up to here and then up to where I'm standing, or you can jump from the grass up to this platform and up to where I'm standing. I sort of like jumping up to the platform and then where I'm standing in runs, but I think technically it would be faster to jump up to this bit of ground and then jump up there. Anyway, you jump straight up here. You don't need to worry about this little intermediate platform. And jump here. Try and get the crab off screen because it causes a lot of lag. And when you're up on here, wait for the camera to scroll so the camera's off the crab. Now here I like to go right. This was also a very recent addition to my runs. I always used to go left here. But I recently tried out right and I golded the split very quickly. If you do go left, there's this ring box here. You can actually kind of jump up to the platform where it is while it's off screen, and you'll spawn on top of the ring box even though you only jumped high enough to land on the grass. So that's something to keep in mind if you're going that path. Anyway, bounce off the try again box here. So there was a box here that I bounced off of. Now, here you can land up on this. Now these dark brown platforms, they're kind of different. So these lighter ones are level tiles, whereas these dark brown ones move, so they're objects. Now because they're objects, they don't actually load while they're off screen. The moving ones, so the ones that move left and right, make sure you wait for the screen to catch up before you try and jump on those, otherwise they won't exist. But these are actually different. You can jump on these off screen. So yeah, don't worry too much about these ones, but do wait for them to come on screen. It doesn't hurt. So 1, 2, and then jump over the third platform there. And then you'll land on this grass, and then it'll be good. There's a platform above this set of spikes, so you jump up there, jump across. Now here's where you'd usually get a ring RTA, so there's a ring kind of up there, but if they're off screen, the rings don't exist, so Yep, and now 1, 2. Now make sure you wait for the screen to scroll up because these don't exist if they're not on screen. 3, and then jump up left, and you basically landed on this one. You can skip the 4th log, and it's a good idea to skip the 4th log because it causes a lot of deaths for me if I try and jump on it. And then jump up to this platform, and then from this one you skip this one and then go across to the side. So there's not much I can really say about this level. The times vary a lot and there's a lot to it, but it's kind of hard to quite put your finger on exactly what to do. So that's just sort of a level that you need to practice and stuff. Okay, so yeah. Now you'll notice that let's see. I could have, when I landed on here, jump to the top and then jump off. You'll notice that I'm running up a slope here, and that's decreasing my speed. These vines drop your input so much that I would really recommend running up until you're about where this little vine is here, and then jumping off. I would really recommend that. You can sort of jump up this one. Now this one, you wait till you're at this little cornery bit, and then you can jump up to the arena. Of course, you can do it a little bit earlier, like this run did. Now, let's see. Okay, so I like to wait in this little corner here, and then jump up at the boss, but not too early. If you jump up too, so he's not actually vulnerable while he's coming down here, but he is vulnerable kind of once he's down. If you jump up too early, and you can sort of see it in this run even, so you jump up, but you're sort of inside him before he becomes vulnerable, so it bounces you up just like a slight little bit, rather than like bouncing you straight down really fast. So that bounce up actually means you have less time to make your next jump. So you want to get hits on him like this, and jump from the edges because that's higher. Okay, so now I will play that back a few times. This boss pattern is very specific, and it's not just like fluky movement. It's really, these are the exact hits that you want to do. Practice this, because if you stray off this path, this boss becomes really hard. So I'll show you again. So 3 more. You wait on that last jump a bit, because if you do that last jump too early, the Cannonball bomb things hit you. Alright, so let's have another look. So first jump, you want to get bounced down. This run is kind of a bad example because it doesn't get bounced down that fast. Second jump, you want to get bounced down. Third jump, you want to come in from the side, because if you're kind of under him, you're going to hit that cannonball. So you want to hit him on the side, and then next jump. This jump is probably the hardest one to make because you have to hit him before he goes up again. Now, if you did the first hit badly and didn't get bounced down really fast, this jump would be the hard one. And then you get one more jump on him as he's going across, and then it's 3 here. So the first one you can do straight under him, and then the next 2 you have to go away from the center. The last jump you leave until very late, because he could bounce you down straight into this cannonball, so you leave that one. Okay. Now I think this is about where you'd want to go minimum for a setup. So I've talked a lot about the camera unlocking in bosses and how you want to be running against the edge of the screen. This one is perhaps the most important, because I'm sure you can tell what happens if you bonk the edge of the screen here. You lose your speed and then you fall straight down, and you don't want that. So when you're starting out, wait for him to be like off the screen before you even start running to it. But I guess you can try and find a setup. And I've definitely lost runs to hitting the edge of the screen and falling down. Now, worst of all, this little edge here drops your inputs a lot. So it's mainly in these steepy, slopey bits that it drops your edge, like this last one. So if you're going to jump off of it, try and jump, around here or right off the edge here, but this is very risky. Be really careful with this bit, because this is getting late into the run, and I'm sure you don't want to sit through Bridge 2 again. Alright. Alright, we'll play through Labyrinth 1 and then talk about it. Okay. We'll go back to the start. So the first thing you want to do is roll here. This is the latest frame that you can roll. Well, it's not the latest frame that you can roll, but it's the latest frame that you want to. So anywhere earlier than kind of here is where you want to be pressing the roll button. Usually aim for like, yeah, when it starts sloping, a little bit further down. Doesn't hurt. Okay, so roll down there. The roll doesn't really save that much time, but I mean, it's not really that hard to go for, so of course go for it. Inputs on here don't really matter, so just basically make sure you're not holding right towards the end here. Because see, I'm going at 470, but if I press right in the air, I snap to, you know, the airspeed. So don't press any buttons at all as soon as you like basically touch the green slime and you know that you're sliding, let go of everything. Until you land here. Now, you want to press right before you go off the edge here, and I guess hold right. So you want to press right so that you hit the speed cap here. And then if you don't hit the speed cap, what's going to happen is you're going to bonk this wall and you're going to fall straight down. So basically, press right, you know, maybe back here or something. You don't have to hold it, but technically it's a little bit better to hold it. And anyway, you go through here, fall down, and then kind of do the left-right thing. So we don't want to like bonk the wall. So we're pressing left a little bit here, and we're going right, so we should be at a faster speed by the time we get under the wall. And then fall off here. Now this is really counterintuitive, because I always want to do a jump. Like I always want to kind of jump down here. So jump and then be moving at a fast speed downwards by the time I get down here. But unfortunately the jump is slow, so you've just got to walk off. Now you sort of go right here and then left so that you don't bonk this wall, and then you should miss this platform. If you bonk this wall, you're most likely going to hit this platform, which is bad. Roll off here. Now just try and control your speed, and you want to press right when you're on the ground here. That'll get you out of rolling, and you'll be falling straight down. If you want, you can roll all the way across and then kind of fall down here. But see, if I get out of rolling here, I have time to build up speed to the right here. Now I'm going to roll across here. Now that is really hard. You've kind of got to react to these arrows. I think so in-game gear, these arrows are on global timers, so it depends on when you've powered on. But I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember if they are or not on Master System. But basically, these arrows sometimes do feel very inconsistent in what they do. So keep a really good eye on them. In this case, it's down, but you'll notice, so it's been down the whole time. So let's see. Yeah, it's been down the whole time. If I was in a run right now, I would not trust this arrow. What I would do instead is I would jump above it and face left. Now, when you get damaged by something, when you get damaged by something, it's going to knock you back. But it'll knock you back in the opposite direction that you're facing. So if I face left, it'll knock me right. That's why I would do that. Anyway, but in this run, I was lucky enough to have the arrows be down. So that's good. And then you want to jump over this arrow. You want to basically jump so that you miss this ring. That's kind of my reference, but this jump doesn't matter too much. Do get references for the jumps though, because you don't want to mess up on the little arrow. And if you were to hit this arrow, if you were to hit this one, it would like knock you back and it would just be a pain. Anyway, so I do have a reference for this jump. So once you basically pass once your foot goes past this tile, you can jump. So this is the earliest jump you can do. Yeah, I wait until, so I actually use this crystal-y thing as a reference, so I wait until a little bit into it, like here, and then I do the jump, hold the jump the full way, and then bounce off the spring. Now, as long as you hit the spring, it's okay, but I like to try and hit the spring as early as I can without risking missing it, because this box is on screen, and the sooner I hit the spring, the sooner I'm going to be up in the air, and the sooner the box is going to be off screen. And you'll see, like, this is all the lag frames while the box is on screen, and as soon as it goes off screen, there's just no lag frames. The lag frames are the ones in red here, by the way. So, yeah, boxes cause lag. You've got to be careful. Alright, and so does this enemy. Let's see. So this is the damage I was talking about. So you face left. Once you know you're facing left, it's good to kind of let go of all the directions, because if you keep holding left, you're going to slow down and hit the enemy later. But, you know, try and turn left as late as possible without risking it. It's not really worth risking this one. If you were to be facing right when he hit you, he would knock you back to the left, and you'd basically hit the reset button at that point. Because getting past this enemy normally is an absolute pain. You've got to wait for him to shoot his things and then jump on him, and all this is terrible. So make sure that you're facing left, because this saves so much time, this damage thing. Now here's the first clip of the run. So these platforms take you up, and you want to get yourself kind of inside the wall, right on the edge of these platforms, and then you wait. You don't press left or right, you just wait, and then it zips you up. And Sonic's up here. Now, these clips, it doesn't matter if you're ducking or looking up or looking down or anything. You can just stand here and it'll zip you up, that's fine. The reason that I'm looking up though is just so that the camera scrolls up and this enemy gets off screen slightly sooner, just to avoid some lag. There's no other reason that I'm looking up here. Now, you want to wait a little bit. Once you zip up, you want to wait a little bit before you start pressing left. So I guess, you know, basically until, yeah, I don't really know a reference for this, but basically until the rings are like halfway down the screen, I guess. But it depends on what your camera was doing before it and everything. Don't press left too soon, because if you do press left, Sonic's still going to be a little bit in the wall. Like, he's going to be somewhere down here if you press left. And if you press left, you're going to try and make Sonic go into the wall. The game's going to go, oh no, spin him back out to the right, and you'd fall down. So do be a bit hesitant with when to press left here. And when you basically want to jump when you start moving. Now this one, you want to roll off the platform, and you want to jump out the end. When I jump here, I press left to hit the water speed cap, and then I press right to turn around quicker. And the rest of the level is pretty self-explanatory. Jumping back and forth between these is quite technical, but there's nothing really to say about it. Okay, 38 on that level. I think my best is a 42. Let's move on to Labyrinth 2 then. Now, unfortunately, in this run that I've made, I had a desync issue in this level, so we'll only be able to see some of it. But we'll play it back anyway. Yeah, that's about where it ends. Okay, so analyze this. So fairly standard start, just jump over the spikes, nothing too big. Roll off this slope. Now, as soon as you leave this, hold down basically. So you want to be rolling here. Let's see. And then you want to jump out of the roll. My reference is when I pass this area here, I jump out of the roll, do a little jump. Don't hit this guy because he'll bounce you up and it'll take forever. Let's see. and then go off here and land on the edge here. Now this, you might think, oh, I've landed on the edge here and I want to go right. That's not good. But what I'm really doing is I'm kind of waiting for this enemy to get a bit closer. You want to hit full speed before you get on the edge, which you need about the whole length of this platform to do. And then you roll off, and you hold right, and you should bounce off this enemy. You really want to get this bounce because now you're airborne for much longer. You build up tons of speed here. Now, this is a tricky part, and it's really easy to mess up. So there's 3 very quick inputs. You press left to break out of the roll, and then you press right to hit the speed cap, and then you press down to roll just before the edge. Now I do it right on the edge here, but really you have to start doing it back here-ish when you're doing it RTA. So you do the left press kind of back here, and then you do the right and down towards the edge. Now you want to roll off the edge. You want to basically hit the speed cap as late as possible, and then roll off the edge here. Now if you didn't do that, you just slam into this wall and fall straight down. Wouldn't be good. But if you do this, maneuver under this enemy and across here so that you don't hit any of this stuff, and just hold right against this wall basically. So you miss this, make sure you hold right, otherwise you'll hit this and you have 0 rings. Okay, so you're going here. If you're brave, you could try rolling off here, but since you don't have much speed built up before then, the roll is kind of useless. Now again, if this was up, so this has been up for a long time, I wouldn't trust myself to be able to jump over it in a run. So what I would do is I would face left so that I would purposely hit it and it would hit me right. That's what you do if these things are up. But if they're down and they've like just gone down and it's clear that they're staying down for a while, jump over them. Okay. Now this, I try to, my reference for this jump is to try and be kind of in between these 2 rings. And then it's really important because you don't want to overshoot this jump, because what you want to do is you want to roll into this box here. That's really important. Don't overshoot this, don't jump too late. If you do jump too late, just kind of ease up on the right button and then you'll be fine. So you roll into this box and jump out as soon as you roll. That's simply to reduce lag, and I don't think you can make the jump because the box is obstructing you otherwise. Anyway, so jump up here and then jump over the spikes. Those spikes are pretty tricky, so be careful. Now we roll over here and then try and get as much speed as you can here, and then you go left, right, left. So left to break out of the roll, right to hit the speed cap, and then left. If you just hold left, it's going to take you ages to come down from this speed to your normal water walking speed. So you press left to break out, right snaps you down to like 1/3 of your speed already, and then left. And then you line yourself up here. Make sure that you're not moving when you enter the wall for these clips. That's extremely important, and that's where the Taz do things. The rest of Labyrinth 2 is fairly straightforward, so we're going to move on to, let's see, Labyrinth 3. Okay. Again, I'll play through this level. Have a look. Okay. Let's look closely. What's going on? Alright, so this jump, I have a bit of a reference, so it's a little bit past this. So I kind of try and get a quarter of the way across this block before I think about jumping. Do a big full jump and you'll land right on the edge here. The reason you want to land on this as early as possible is so that you can jump as early as possible to get to this spring. Now the spring jump, you have to do kind of a medium jump to get the spring. Now you can't just hold right to go here, you need to hesitate a bit. If you hold right, you're going to land here, jump and bonk this wall, but you don't want to bonk the wall. Now I try and jump when my foot touches this little seam here. It's not a 1-frame jump, but it feels like a 1-frame jump when you do it in runs, because you tap the button and you can't tap it for just 1 frame, it's a bit longer. It's a few frames, you see. So now you hold right, and then you start hesitating a bit once you know you're going to hit him. and then you hit him. Now, you want to be as left as possible here, as left as you possibly can, and then just don't touch anything before this second hit. And then only once you hit him, you want to go left again. Only once you've hit him and you see that you're bouncing up. If you go left earlier than this, you're going to overshoot him and you're going to fall down in the left hole here. If you go later than this, you're going to get hit by his bullet or you're not going to make it across the gap. This is one of the hardest parts in the run, by far. Take lots of practice at this and just be really careful. I still lose tons of runs to this boss. It's sort of like the runs kind of aren't runs until I've done this boss. You know, once this bit is over, you know it's gotten serious. So, okay, so second hit and you want to go across. So there's two dangers here. That's falling into the pit. But the more likely one is you get hit by his bullets. And you don't want to jump too high because then your bounces are too high and you get hit by his bullets because your second hit is a bit delayed because your bounces were so high, so he shot his bullets earlier, so you hit the bullets. But you don't want to jump too low because you'll kind of bounce off, but you won't have much height to get across. It's really precise and it's really like one of the hardest parts of the run. If you don't want to do this, just hit him while he's coming out of the top because that is much easier. Hitting him in this middle bit is just, yeah, broken. 3 hits here. Try not to hit him on like the earliest possible that you could jump on his first hit. So I often wait until he gets to about like halfway through this block before I start jumping. The reason for that is even if, so first of all, you don't want to do the jump and miss him, that's terrible. But you can jump fairly early and not miss him. Like you can jump on his here and not miss him. But if you leave it till a little bit later, you're actually traveling up at a faster speed when you hit him, so he bonks you down at a faster speed. Otherwise it's a bit like the jungle where you hit him and you sort of float there a little bit. Because you were sort of really moving up really slowly when you hit him, so he bonks you down really slowly. Yeah. And then basically, once you see Sonic's feet, you want to be jumping. Once you see that he's not in that ball, you want to slam the jump button. Full jumps, all full jumps. You get 3 hits on him, go to the left of this. You don't want to go to the right because it'll cause you troubles. And then it's the same exact strategy on this side. Now I've seen 3 hits in the middle, and then 3 hits up here and 2 hits here. I think my man does that, and he has a video on that. But I still feel that strat is only. But apparently it's possible to make that consistent. I would strongly recommend 2 hits in the middle, 3 up here, 3 up here. Because doing 3 hits in the middle doesn't save that much time anyway. Now, when you're just starting, I would really strongly recommend just 3 hits up here, 3 hits here, wait both times he's in the middle, and then do 2 hits up here again. It's not worth going in for him in the middle early on. So yeah, you gotta be careful with that. So anyway, this is kind of pretty much as far to the right as you want to go. So you want your feet, the edge of your foot here. So anywhere to the left of this is fine for a setup for hitting the edge of the screen. And then we just go through. Alright, scrap brain 1. We'll watch it through once. It's a 27 there, but I've only ever gotten a 29 in runs. Anyway, so, yep, pretty standard start as usual. Now with these doors, you want to kind of press left and then right again, so that you're running through them, rather than just holding right and going straight up into them. That way, by the time you pass under them, you're going at a bit of a faster speed, so it's better. But of course, if you want to hold right, it's not that much slower. But they do add up. There's a lot of doors. Again, I'll emphasize this is the latest frame you can jump on this hill without losing speed. But of course, you want to jump a little bit earlier than that, like as soon as it starts sloping. And another situation with the door here. Now, jumping off this platform versus rolling off the end is about the same. I'd argue jumping is a little bit more consistent, and I'm going to start doing it in runs, I think. But with a jump, just make sure you do a little jump, because if you're too high at this point, the door won't start opening, because it's sort of like a little box around the door, like this, so you don't want to be too high. Okay, so now this section has a strategy that I would not go for in runs at all. I'm rolling off the end here, but this little zapper is unpredictable. It's really rough. So it can be zapping like by the time you get here already. So if you get zapped, it'll be not good. So what I usually do is jump across this and then jump here to get to the spring. Anyway, go further, and 1, 2, 3 here, just roll around here, no later than this, no later than here, so basically as soon as it starts sloping. And then, yeah, hold right to win. Now you'll notice I pressed left, right, left. That's left to get out of the roll, right to hit the speed cap, and then left to slow down. This door I usually just hold right into it, because it gets you out of the roll when you hit it anyway. Okay. Yeah, 29 is what you should be hoping for in runs. That was a really big milestone for me to get 29. If you get 30, it would give you a shorter bonus screen, but we cut those out with the timing anyway. Alright. So I'll play through this whole level once, it's a big one. Okay, let's look into this. So, fairly standard start, just be careful with these doors. Okay, so this flame sometimes comes out and gets you. If it is out, just roll under it, and then keep your roll across here. You want to jump out of your roll, basically jump out of it as soon as, when you can jump, so that you don't hit this flame. Like, don't jump back here because you'll hit the flame. And then do another jump up the hill. If you want, you can just roll a little bit later and do one really big jump up the hill. But doing 2 little jumps is technically more optimal. Okay. And then you want to jump up on this conveyor belt, so it'll take us to the right really quick. And then you want to jump about here. Guess this last little coggy bit so that you can jump. Now you might be wondering, why don't we take the right speed boost all the way? And that's because now, once we hit this area, we're not trying to go right, we're trying to go up. So you want to go up as soon as possible. Anyway, so we're going up. Now I jumped to the left of this fireball here. I would strongly recommend jumping to the right and kind of chasing it before you jump up here. run across this because this is a good conveyor belt, takes you to the right. Now these fires start coming, roll under them. So here I've got a roll, and then jump out of the roll when you can. That one just looks like a jump, but it is a roll. Like if I didn't roll, then there would be trouble. Oops. Okay, so this one I'm going to roll under as well for a bit longer. This one, we're going to turn around and damage boost. Now the reason for that is we want to be on 0 rings, so especially don't grab any of these rings here. And yep, we'll roll down here. This is the frame that you want. And yep, hold right. So similar roll here, let's see. So you want to roll no later than here. And then you want to press left as close as you can to this edge here, and then completely let go of all the buttons. And then once you know that you're over this, so you want to clear this so you don't land here and then have to fall down slowly again. You want to clear this and then start adjusting yourself. So you want to hold left into this wall and then let go of everything now. So now you look for this reference. You want Sonic to be somewhere in between, like here and here with his feet. My personal reference is a bit lower, but I think that's just because of like the delay of me looking at the screen. And then you want to hold right. So basically once Sonic's feet past this, as soon as possible, you want to hold right. And then you'll land in this gap. Now this is another really hard bit of the run. You have a 4-frame window to make this. Let's see. So if you were to press right any later than like at this or later, you won't make it. Only 4 frames. Now if you're having trouble, you should land in this bit, go down and then right here and do it the intended way. But this does save a lot of time, so I would definitely recommend going for it, even though it's only 4 frames. Have a play around and get your own references for these things so that you get a feel for it. And it does become fairly consistent. So roll down this slope, no later than here. I mean, all these rolls that I've shown you, this is, if you roll in this frame, that's the fastest possible. But if you roll even 1 frame later, it's really slow. So, no later than there, and turn around, do a little jump off this switch, and you should fall straight through here. You won't have to touch the directional buttons at all. Wait for this door, and then run off the edge. Now this is why we had 0 rings earlier, so we can die straight away. Don't jump off this edge though. If you jump off, you're going to kill the enemy down here. So you want to land on this enemy and die. If you don't have 0 rings, then just take both hits on this enemy. If you don't have 0 rings, then kind of face right so that he bounces you left and then get hit again. But it is very laggy if you wait too long there while you're waiting for your invincibility timer to run out. So it is much faster to get hit by the flame earlier on in the level. There's a 36 here, and I think my best is a 39. Anyway, so we're just going to roll down this slope. We like this conveyor belt, but not any of the other ones. So just jump through here, and then start jumping up the slope. So you want to jump up, fairly early. Before it starts sloping up. Do jumps as big as possible and jump as soon as possible. These can be really bad for dropping inputs, these slopes. So yeah, you got to be careful. If you find that dropping inputs a lot, try letting go of right for a bit when you're trying to jump. And then, yeah, that's Scrap Brain 2. Scrap Brain 3, I won't go into too much detail, because it's really just kind of turning around before doors a lot, so waiting for doors, going through them at full speed. Jumping there to make sure you're falling at a fast speed. Not much to this level. Well, I mean, there's a lot to it, but there's not much I can really say that I haven't said yet. Don't hit that switch, because it'll close the door that you want. So just jump over that one. And then, now this spring you want to hold left for a bit once you hit it, and then hold right so that you're full, like a higher speed coming here. You don't want to bonk this wall, as usual. Okay, so yeah, that's all there is to Scrap Bane 3, and like you can literally just hold right for the rest of the level now. Alright, Skybase is a tricky one. So these lightning cycles will actually, I'll play through the whole level and then I'll talk about it. That's a 25. My best is a 30. I apologize. I did get quite carried away with the Taz tools in this. This is probably the least human level in the run. Anyway, so you want to jump up here. Be careful of input drops here. So sometimes I let go so that it doesn't drop my inputs. Then just jump up. You want to be careful of this cannon. Make sure you're kind of running to the right a bit before you jump so that it gets on screen later and it shoots later. You jump around the bullets and you can do this pretty consistently, this jump here. You wait for this cannon to shoot. It will shoot 3, but sometimes it does shoot 4. Sometimes it even shoots 1. Once you see it stop shooting, it's safe, but just be aware that the number of bullets can vary sometimes. So the lightning cycles are different if you die, but as far as I can tell, they're the same when you come to the level fresh each run. So yeah, if you're going to be practicing this, dying might not be the best thing to do. I don't know how else you'd really practice it though. Yeah, anyway, so another option is to kind of jump over this stream of bullets, but that's only if this lightning isn't going. Anyway, so roll off here and then try and get your jump up here. Roll off. Sometimes you roll off there, but it depends. Anyway, so usually in runs I can get past this one, this lightning down here, but then this lightning starts up. Now if it's only just started when you get up to it, turn left and damage boost through it. But if it's been going for a little while, probably just wait for it to pass, because otherwise, so when you damage boost it, it's pretty laggy. That's the thing. But I got through it in this run, so now we're about matched, because you would get here a lot later usually. So now I have to turn around a bit in the air, but you normally just hold right through. And you can jump over this cannon's bullets. Just be careful, be patient with these cannons. So if the lightning is still going, probably wait for its bullets and then go through. And then jump up, and we roll off. So hold right through here. You got to be very careful because, so first of all, if you know the lightning is going to come, what I like doing, like if you know the lightning is definitely going to be going here, I like to basically just hold right and hit the lightning. But if it's not, you do have to be very careful here because you want to jump without hitting the speed cap here, and then once you get here, jump across. Now you can hold right and make this jump, so don't worry at all about making this jump. And then we get to the very left edge so that we can get a good run up to jump off. And now if the lightning is going to go, wait for it, but if it's not going to go, like basically if it gets to, if you're like here and it hasn't started yet, you should be safe. I wait until the left edge of this is sort of past the middle of this, and then I jump. You can do it earlier, sorry, I wait till the left edge of here is lined up with the middle of here, and then I run to jump. You can do a lot earlier, but that relies on a frame perfect jump off the edge, so do wait till the left of this hits the middle. Get a reference like this on this thing though, because it's really important not to leave this till late. And anyway, you jump off, you make this, and then you jump up. And then basically you can run across, do a full jump here, and you always snap up onto this and then jump off. That part looks really scary, but it really isn't. So yeah, I think my best time is a 30 on this level in practice, but I'm pretty sure I died before that 30 and the lightning cycles were different. I think I've gotten like a 32 on the normal cycle or something. But yeah, usually in runs you get like 35s or something. So this level is Thence at the end of the run. Play through it. Okay, let's break it down. So, those cannons that are firing are actually RNG. So this level is terrifying and I've lost heaps of runs to it. Okay, so after you pass this pole, you want to jump. Probably a bit later than this run did. And then you want to turn around. The reason for jumping here is you're going to get a good look at the cannon. So if you see it fire a shot to the right, then just run straight through under it. But if you see it fire a shot down like that, you want to be jumping over it. So if it's facing right, run under it. If it's facing down right or down, then jump over it. And like obviously if it's facing any of the ups, you're fine to run under it. And I think if it's facing left, you want to run under it. So you want to jump over it if it's facing down right, down, or down left. And you want to run under it if it's facing right, up, left, or left. So the most counterintuitive one there is you do want to run under it. If it's facing right, you don't wait. You just keep running. Okay. Now, I have a bit of a strategy here where I wait a lot and then I jump up. So basically the only way this is going to kill me if it's facing down left. And like, it has to be facing down left and fire, and you can see it's taking a while to fire, so I'm usually safe. So you wait a little bit and then you jump up. Get a good look at it before you jump up again. If I was doing this in a run, I would have waited a bit before that jump because it's facing left and it could fire. So, yep, there we go. Now it's facing down right, so you sneak around this edge of it based on where it is. Now these can be terrible. If this is firing like up right or down right or something, go over here and get the bullets all off screen. Once the bullets are off screen, they'll have despawned and you can do this run so that you're at quite a high speed and then jump off and you'll land here. And then turn around and you're done. It's a terrifying level at the end of the run, and the facing directions are RNG. So have lots of practice with lots of different cannon facing directions. Take your time in that level. It's not worth rushing. Okay, last level. I'll play through it. Okay, let's have a closer look. Now, I'm going to go right here, we'll look at the frame that you roll. It's fairly early on this slope, so basically as soon as the slope's down, this is as late as you want to roll. Okay. Now, this corner here is really good at hooking you and completely killing your speed. So it is technically faster to roll over it, but you really should jump. So jump and don't hold right, otherwise you'll hit the speed cap. But once you see that you're in the arena, you do want to hold right. So you want to hold right eventually, because if you get to here too fast, so you want to bounce off it and get in there. If you get there too fast, you'll actually bump the edge of the screen and you'll mess it all up. So you want to hold right. Basically, I like to do it once I enter, like past this line, past these arrows basically. The sooner the safer, really, with this. And because the screen is auto-scrolling, and because, like, once you get past this, it's going to start following you, see? And that dictates the whole speed of the fight. So, basically once you pass this, it won't matter if you slow down, because as long as you get in your 7 hits before it buzzes, then you're fine. Now, I wait till I pass these 4 little liney bits here, and then I jump. Hold the jump button and go in. Now, it's terrible if you kind of, let me think about what it would be. It would be a late jump and you would hit that, bounce up, and then you'd kind of hit it again and then bounce out. That would be bad. Okay, so let's see. You jump and then you just hold the jump button and hold right. And if you're jumping from this specific point, holding jump and holding right, you're clipping. And then you can start landing jumps. So jump and then wait for it to buzz. So jump, 4, 5, 6, 7 jumps. Now on the 7th, don't jump again because this will hit you. And then when it stops buzzing, one more jump, leave it. And then when it stops buzzing again, hold down and roll out. So just press down, make sure it rolls, and then you'll come out. Because if you stay in there, this thing is going to get you. So you could also jump along the edge and, you know, hold left that way, but I like to roll. Anyway, so I like to wait till this gets past about here before I start moving back, and then you do the glitch again. You get stuck in there, 1, 2, 3, and you're done. Let's see, so now there was 7 hits at the start. If you're practicing this, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now if you're practicing this, you might notice that it does like a little buzz. Like it can do a tiny little buzz. And if that does happen, then you can, so we get 7 jumps before this big buzz. If that tiny little buzz happens, you can land an 8th hit if you want to, but it's very risky. And then when you get that 8th hit in, so it would be 10 here instead of 9 like it is now, and then you'd only need 2 hits here. But that is quite risky. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much it. So we roll down this slope, jump as late as we can without bonking this, and then jump off. Timing ends when you hit the portal. I mean, it does, but it doesn't mean that you could split late, because splitting late and then retiming it would be better than like trying to split as soon as you hit the portal and messing it up. But anyway, I think that's about it for me. I think I've said pretty much all that I've needed to say. I'll put a bunch of extra info, hopefully, in the description. And yeah, if I think of anything else that I need to say, I'll say it. And if anyone has any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll try and answer them as well as I can. Good luck learning this game, and thanks for watching.